We're on a mission from God. Today we are talking about 1980's Blues Brothers, starring Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi. Blues Brothers is about Jake and Elwood, and they are going around Chicago to get their band back together because their beloved church, St. Helens, is going to be torn down if they can't raise the money for it. So that is the plot of this movie, and hilarity ensues because it is Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi. This movie is everything great about comedy because it was made in a time when comedy was still a genre that was not just placed on any piece of shit that someone produced that wanted to get a wide-ranged audience. It was genuinely funny because it was written by genuinely funny people and performed by genuinely funny actors. And I will tell you that that is why nothing funny has come out of Hollywood since like 1995, because all of your actors and writers just kind of went for the cheap laughs. And while Blues Brothers does that, at the same time it doesn't, because there's good material and good comedians. And if you don't have those two qualities, you're not going to have a funny movie. And most comedies, I think, today aren't funny because they don't have funny actors. My example for you is going to be 21 Jump Street. It's a basic movie. It goes for the cheap laughs. Blues Brothers was funny because it didn't make you laugh. You didn't feel like you had to laugh. Like 21 Jump Street and everything of that same vein that has popular actors that make you go see the movie and make you laugh because you think you have to laugh because you think that they are being funny is completely different than going to see Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi, two men who had established themselves as comedians through their entire career and that were making you laugh because they were funny. The best example of that is in the car chase scene. Today, any sort of movie with a car chase scene would be making you laugh because the actors would be saying something ridiculous or screaming, or you'd be laughing at their pain, or there'd be some goofy song in the background. Blues Brothers was just them completely deadpan, destroying whatever they wanted, and that's what made it funny because it was the most preposterous shit you could imagine. And they just went over the top, and that's why it was funny, and not because they did things that made you laugh, like Channing Tatum's "Fuck You Science," because I'm so critical of the genre of comedy, and I love Blues Brothers because I really think it is one of the few prime examples of comedy at its finest. Even the bit about the sunglasses. They wear their sunglasses the entire time, and it is so funny because it's so ridiculous. Like, they were the Mac Daddies of comedy, and I feel like comedy is almost a dead genre because so many things are just labeled as comedic when they are not, because anybody will toss a cheap laugh into a movie and tell you, hey, this is a comedy, because you're laughing at it because I'm making you. Not because I'm making you think, hey, that's hilarious because it's ridiculous, or whatever. As Billy Crystal said it best, there are too many comedians now, and that is why they are not funny. Back in the 80s, comedians were not as commonplace as they are today. There weren't Comedy Central 1-hour specials of 50 different people making the same bad racist joke. There was Saturday Night Live, and the Smothers Brothers show, and just Second City, and just very few outlets for comedians, and that's why there were so few comedians, because it was harder to be a comedian. Unlike today, where everyone and their brother can be a comedian and call themselves funny when they're not. Another thing I'm gonna say about the genre of comedy. They will toss two actors together and think because they are so opposite that it'll be funny. Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum. What? Doesn't even make sense. Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi, they are both just deadpan, not really attractive, even though I would bang Dan Aykroyd any day. Men who just, fit. They have good chemistry together, naturally, because they are similar humans. Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill are not. not in appearance, not in performance, not in anything. Okay? I'm sorry. I hate that everybody thinks it's so funny. Go watch Blues Brothers, please. Educate yourselves on what comedy really is. Without Blues Brothers, we wouldn't have my favorite episode of Drake and Josh. So, thanks, guys. Fuck you, 21 Jump Street.
They had put a fart machine into my sleeping bag.